Hello, my name's Charles Christian and I'm here today talking to Karl Irons, who is the Managing Director of Hayes Solicitors. Hello, Karl.
Hello.
Can you first of all just explain a little bit about the firm? I believe Hayes is incorporated and there's another firm as well.
That's correct. HEY Solicitors is the traditional high street practice, which is offering wills, probate, and family work, as well as low-level litigation. I've also got a second business which operates in the same premises called HEY Bendels, and that's a firm of licensed conveyancers that do residential conveyancing and commercial conveyancing.
Right. And you are the Managing Director, but you're also a solicitor as well,
Yes.
a qualified practicing solicitor.
That's correct, yes. It's probably about a 50-50 split between work.
Right. And you've been using technology for a long time. Can you just give us a little bit of background of how it's evolved in the firm and how you came to be using DPS as you are now?
Certainly, yeah. I began in the year 2000, of which the firm had no network whatsoever, and each individual working on their individual workstations. That's evolved, initially becoming a network with an accounts package, and then ultimately moving from that system to a case management system, which is where my involvement began.
Yes. And then when you became a partner in 2006, I believe, you were instrumental in moving the firm to DPS.
That's right. Yeah, 2006, I became a partner with one of the previous partners retiring, and I was given the remit to build and grow the business, and DPS was one of the moves that I made to incorporate both accounts and case management into one package.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier, and I believe you said that you felt that having had experience of another case management system, you very much found that enabled you to be more selective when it came to your second case management system, DPS.
That's right, yeah. The first time you have a case management system, you're not really sure what it could or can't do, and having the first case management meant that you fairly quickly realised its limitations. So when in 2006 I was looking for a case management system, I knew exactly what I wanted, and where DPS didn't have the limitations the previous one did, and that was the fundamental part of choosing them.
Yes. When you say limitations, can you just explain a little bit more?
Yeah, when you're trying to build a case management system, you're trying to lock down areas that you don't want people to do, and you want to try and automate as much as you possibly can. And the limitations on the previous one is that it can only do one potential contingency. So it was either this or that. And DPS doesn't have that limitation. It can say it's this, and if it's not that, it might be one of these two things or these other things, and it can actually go as big as you want it to go in terms of the options. And that was what I really liked about it. It was going to be limited by my ability to think what I wanted it to do.
Right. Now, another thing that I've found interesting is that you've been actively involved in taking the system forward and in fact doing some of the work, which is an anathema to most lawyers. They buy the software and then sometimes use it or complain when it doesn't do it. But you've basically been rolling up your sleeves and taking the system forward. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the initial module that you have, which is always with case management system a starting point, I took that and I kept the bits that I liked, and then I customized everything else for the exact way that we've been working for several years, and with the ability within the program to control exactly what documents you can and can't access, what information it forces you to have in before you can move to the next step. And that really made conveyancing in particular efficient, and on family matters it reduced the risks of someone calling the party the wrong thing.
Yes.
So it helps on that side as well.
Yeah. Explain a little bit more about some of the changes you've made, because you are taking it What were the drivers for customising it?
The drivers for it is that my sort of background in terms of the law is I'm a property lawyer, so my first focus was on the conveyancing package, and the drivers for it is that I wanted to be able to spend more time speaking to clients and spending time with clients.
But at the same time, the system there is in the background, ensuring no steps are missed.
That's right, and also compliance. It allows you to draw out information and make sure that not only myself but other members of staff are following the system and what they've been accessing and what they've been doing to make sure everybody is in line.
Yeah.
The other benefit was I wanted to make sure that I had a training program that would get members that joined up and running as quickly as possible. And by fixing the system in the way that I did, meant that I could also have a very clear program of training for them.
Explain a bit more about the system, using it as a risk management tool, because obviously within the legal profession, compliance, risk management, money laundering, etc., is now a very, very big issue. And conveyancing frauds are now very common.
Exactly. The system is built in the background where it can hide things if they're not allowed to use them, or it can put a cross through them so that it just shows that they're there but not to be used in this particular case. Also, you can design your own individual markers, which you can then produce reports on. And you can have those markers in the background automatically select based on the information that's put into it. Probably one of the best examples that I have is I have a report which will plot clients on a UK map, and also would be able to plot their transaction on a UK map. Now, one of the hats I wear is a money laundering officer, and that allows me visually to be able to see whether there's any unusual transactions that I might want to delve deeper into.
What about the issue of recruiting new people? I mean, I believe it's a problem that lawyers, qualified legal staff, are very hard to find out of London because they're all tending to aim for city jobs.
It is. Yeah. One of the issues is land law and private client was never the most exciting work in the beginning for people when they're going through their studies. And when trainees are coming through, it's the big cities that they're going for, and the initial big money that they will pay. This meant that there are very few pickings for the lawyers outside the big cities. And the trend that we're finding is to where we can use non-lawyers to do work which does not need the specialisation. And with the safety of the case management system, they're not going to be able to go wrong.
Yes.
And that's the way we have to recruit in the future.
Right. Now, I understand one of the other things you've done with this system is you've developed a telephone integration.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, can you
so
explain a little about that?
The database in DPS is in a nice format that you can actually use it in other programs. And we're able to display, as people are called in, the individual that's calling if it's in our database, whether it be a client, another solicitor, an estate agent, anything on our database. This allows us to, first of all, give added customer service, because when the person rings, you can build that rapport quickly and get onto their case as quickly as possible. It also secures us a little bit in case somebody pretends to be ringing on behalf of somebody else. We'll know instantly that person has never rung from that number before. Other benefits of it is that it actually means that clients will receive the server quicker, and they'll also have an accurate record of how much time they have been spending talking to liars and taking advice in relation to those calls.
You've got the system integrated with DPS case management, so it also handles the time recording.
That's correct. That's correct. And we've also got members of staff that are hard of hearing, and this helps them because it presents the information which a person's likely to be talking about. Yeah. And helps them then handle the call in a much more efficient way. So
a call comes in from a number that's recognised, and it will pull up that this is probably 99% going to be about the conveyance on a case your avenue.
That's correct. Click of the button, it will tell you those cases for that client associated with that number. Yeah. And then when the client's explain who they want to speak to, it doesn't take long to be able to put the two bits of information together and handle that call correctly.
Yeah. Now, I understand that you did most of the development work yourself.
Yes.
Are you a techie by background?
It's really just having an interest and realising that they go hand in hand with the business, and that the technology helps drive the business, and you have to know what you want that technology to do to be able to go forward. And so I sort of learnt initially for myself. In terms of linking with DPS, I went on a bespoke course with DPS to learn how to use their functions. And then the combination of that has allowed me to do things such as the telephone and also marketing by pulling the information out with the triggers that I've chosen.
Can you just explain a bit more about the marketing?
Yeah, with the marketing side of things, one of the areas that complements between the private client work and the conveyancing work is clearly wills. If someone's buying a property or selling a property, they need to decide what they want to happen in the event of their death.
Yeah.
And during the course of the conveyance, we will ask clients about whether they have wills or not, and if they're interested in looking at them, normally after that transaction is done, because clients are in that way. And we can put a marker down for them, and at a certain point we decide, say 2 or 3 months after they've moved, pull that information from DPS and write to them and remind them of their desires to look at wills.
Right. And you do seem to be an interesting combination of the practicing lawyer and the businessman.
It came from an ability to have a go,
Yeah.
and not be afraid of the technology. And where you would go to update courses, as lawyers do, you will be told about potential risks and areas which are potential danger to the firm. And during those updates, I'm making notes about what sort of changes I need to make in the system to make sure that the firm is more safeguarded from that. So it's an ongoing, evolving case management system based on what is happening in the real world.
Tell us about the relationship with DPS. You've now been with them for a decade. That's a long time for a lot of law firms to remain with their vendors.
It is, yeah. DPS are quite an exciting company. They're always reinventing themselves and also trying to push their case management system with ideas. But more importantly, they listen to their members and discuss potential ideas with them, where DPS will consider your particular business and what modules of their program fit with you. So they also jeer you on and encourage you to make changes, to make alterations, and to make improvements. So when we have our annual meeting with our sales manager, it's a kind of show and tell. They'll show you what they're developing, we will show you what we're doing, and you're then taking the best out of both on every occasion.
What systems do you have with them then?
So we use their conveyancing part, we use the commercial wills, their probate module, the family module, and they have a general module as well, which allows you to do sort of one-off parts. Our main focus in our business is to see people face to face, to talk to them. And so the letters and the correspondence are really our backup and our protection to confirm the advice we've already given.
Right, excellent. And on a final point, you're clearly happy with DPS. Would you recommend them to other firms?
Yes, yeah, and I have done in the past, spoken to other firms when they've been looking for case management systems. It's a very versatile and good case management system, and the support team are very good as well. But it is important that you decide what you want your case management to do. You are the creator, and they'll carve it in the way that you want it.
That's excellent. Karl, thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.